Everything is going so fast. Everything is so loud, sensory overload, social media, lights, expectations, mental health. There's so much happening. How do we create stillness in our worlds, stillness in our day-to-day? This is episode 38 of Keep It 100. One of my all-time favorite human beings on the planet, my Uncle John, recently was telling me a story about just this, how to create stillness. Now, John is a father I admire and look up to, a friend I admire and look up to, a husband I admire and look up to, a fisherman I admire and look up to. He's one of the all-time greats in my life. And when he says something, usually through a story, I listen. So we were talking about how do we create these moments. And he said, a few years ago, this is at least the way I remember it. A few years ago, I was snowshoeing and maybe he was in Colorado and walking down a trail, and he came upon sort of a yurt, like a cabin, a place where people could rest and hang out and have a drink. And there was a guest book that you could sign in on. So he opened it up and he's kind of he loves to read, and he's looking at who's there and who visited. And there was a note in there that just boom, stood out to him. And it said, make sure you create pockets of stillness in your life. And it sat with him and it stayed with him. And this is the lesson he reminded me of. And I said, well, how do you do that? What does that mean? What does it look like? And he said really important things. Start with just be and end with just be. There's no rules and regulations to carving this out. It's about intention. And I'm like, well, what about music? I want all the details. Can there be music? Can you have a beer? Or are you hanging out in the woods? He goes, it doesn't matter. It's an intentional mindset of creating a pocket of stillness. It's not a set amount of time. It's not how many times you do it. It's about intentional quiet, intentional creation of pockets of stillness in your world. So as you go on your journey and as you create happy in others' lives and your own lives, make sure you're also creating pockets of stillness on your way to creating happy. Happy creating.